Hello, my name is Dr. Sandra Cosgrove. I'm a history professor at the College of Southern Nevada. I'm the executive director of a small nonprofit called Vote Nevada, and then I'm a team member on the Better Voting Nevada ballot question team. What I would like to do right now is to do a very short presentation on the actual ballot question so that everybody knows exactly what it will do. So I'm going to do a screen share. Going to come over to our description of effect. And I'm going to pull it up. Okay, so this is called the description of effect. So this is a 200-word summary of our ballot initiative. So this gives you the major points that you need to know to be able to understand how it works. If you signed our initiative petition to get us on the general election ballot, then you more than likely have read this. But I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of exactly what the ballot question will do. So our summary starts out, if enacted, this initiative changes Article 5 and 15 of Nevada's Constitution for congressional, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, treasurer, controller, and state legislator elections. So it's just in those elections, not anything else. Eliminating partisan primaries and establishing an open top 5 primary election and ranked choice voting in the general election. And so instead of having a segregated ballot where we have partisan races where the Democrats and Republicans are split apart, and then nonpartisan races, which are basically open primary top 2 that shows up on everybody's ballot, we want to bring all the top level races and all the current nonpartisan races together on one unsegregated ballot. For these offices, all candidates and voters participate in a single primary election regardless of party affiliation or non-affiliation. And this is one of the big reasons that we're proposing this ballot question, because currently in the state of Nevada, if you just look at the people who are registered to vote as nonpartisans, they're almost 29%. So if we've got Democrats that are about 32%, and we've got Republicans at about 30%, nonpartisans is right below them at 29%. If you take nonpartisan, so non-affiliated, and you add in voters who are affiliated with the non-major parties, so say affiliated with the Green Party or the Libertarian Party, and you add them together and say non-partisan and non-major party voter registrants, they almost equal 40% of our electorate. And so that is a huge number of people that are being segregated out of our partisan elections. And those of us who are supporting this ballot petition and initiative think that that is not only the wrong thing to do, but it's kind of a dangerous thing to do in a democracy. So the top 5 finishers advance to the general election, and the general election winner is determined by ranked choice voting. So in these elections that are right up here at the top, where everybody's going to be on one ballot, and then each of us will go and we will cast one vote in the primary. We're not doing ranked choice voting in the primary, just one vote in the primary when we look down the list. And then the top 5 vote getters will move forward. And so this way, we want to make sure that, we all know that people who have a lot of money and a lot of backing oftentimes are the ones that get out of the primary. We're going with top 5 because we would like to get maybe 1 or 2 candidates that maybe doesn't have as much money backing them, but maybe has some really good ideas and some really good hustle. They're going to also be able to then advance to the general election. When we get to the general election, in these races, you will see the race, you will see the names of the top 5, and then it will say you can vote up to 5 selections, and it will ask you to rank them. So the general election voters rank the candidates in order of preference from first to last, if they wish to rank more than their first preference. So you can look at that race and say, I only like this candidate. 1, you're done. Your vote will be counted. You could also say, I like these 3 candidates. Great, you're done. We're just saying you can rank up to 5 if you want to. And this gives you the ability to say, oh, I really like candidate 5, really liked his ideas, but I think candidate 4 actually is going to win. So I'm going to give candidate 5 my first vote, and I'm going to give candidate 4 my second vote, so that I can then say through my vote, I really support the message of candidate 5, but I do recognize that probably a majority likes candidate 4. And so that's okay with me. If it goes to my second vote, I like candidate 4. And you could say the same thing. If it's not candidate 2, then I'd like candidate 3. This way, as you're going through an instant runoff to get to somebody having 50% plus 1, your vote is always getting counted in that runoff if you go ahead and you rank all the way till 5, but it's not required. As traditionally, a candidate receiving first choice votes of more than 50% wins. So if 5 candidates move forward and we all go and vote, because everybody should be going and voting, and somebody gets 50% plus 1, they've won. We're done. If no candidate is the first choice of more than 50%, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. So remember my example, let's say that candidate 5 that I really liked actually had the fewest votes and that candidate drops off. Then I'm saying, okay, my second vote needs to be counted. So I want that to go up to candidate 4. So my second vote is for candidate 4. So if no candidate is the first choice of more than 50%, the candidate with the fewest votes is eliminated. And each voter who had ranked the now eliminated candidate as their first choice has their single vote transferred to their next highest choice candidate. This tabulation process repeats until one candidate with more than 50% of the support is determined to be the winner. And so what we're doing is an instant runoff. And because there are states where you can do runoffs like a month later or 2 months later, like Georgia does. But what they find is not as many people show up for that delayed runoff. So we're saying we like this idea of making sure that the person who wins has 50% plus 1 support, a majority, but we want to maintain the number of voters that just voted. So ranked choice voting is instant runoff. The last sentence just says the legislature must adopt implementing legislation by July 1st, 2025. The reason it's 2025 is that we're proposing a constitutional amendment. And in Nevada, when your ballot question is a constitutional amendment, it has to go to the voters 2 times before it can go into the Constitution. And so we just completed the ballot petition process where we had to get a certain number of signatures. And the signatures is a percentage of the people who voted in the last election. So we needed to get 141,000. We ended up turning in 266,000, so many more than what we needed. So we know we have a lot of support. Now we have to do a campaign like we're doing now to make sure everybody understands what our ballot petition is, and that hope a majority when it comes to November and they see our ballot question on the ballot votes in favor. If we win in November, then what we will have to do is 2 years from now in 2024 is we'll need to do the campaign part again, because it will need to go on to the ballot again. So it has to pass by the voters 2 times. So that means when it passes in 2024, it will have been passed by the voters 2 times. And then it goes over to the 2025 legislative session for implementing legislation, because it need to be implemented. And you're not allowed to write implementing rules and directives into the Constitution, because those things might need to be changed. So those things need to be flexible. So the very first election where this would go into effect, where we would have open primary in these top partisan races, top 5 moving forward, and then if needs be, ranked choice voting, which is instant runoff, that would be 2026. So we're still a little way off. We have plenty of time to talk about this, to answer questions, to do research. So after listening to this, if you want more information, we've also created a presentation that really kind of works through what was our decision-making process. So those of us who support this ballot initiative and have been working on it, how did we all arrive at this process? What was happening in Nevada that made us say, oh, our democracy doesn't seem healthy. We need to have some type of a solution. After watching either one of these presentations, you are welcome to contact me directly, Sandra Cosgrove. My email address is sandra.cosgrove@gmail.com. I'm pretty easy to find. I am happy to answer your questions or to find someone who can answer your questions. All right, so I'm going to do a stop share. And I'm going to thank you for taking a few minutes to listen to this, and I hope to be hearing from you if you have any questions. All right, thank you very much.